You got a home-cooked meal, but fresh from all the way from harvest to the plate. It wasn't anything amazing, right? But never did he harvest, if I'm not mistaken, never did he harvest the crop, nor did the wife cook the meal or grind the wheat, except that they were in a state of wudu. Right? Imagine what type of impact that had on those students and upon their spirituality. It comes very clearly in hadith. I'm just making up this fact that it has an impact on your spirituality, that a person will come in a disheveled form, right? And he's he's in a deplorable state, right? He's in a pitiful state, that if any other person were to see him, that we say in Urdu, tars khata hai, right? Tars aa jata hai, like you're like, oh my God, what a bichara, right? It's like, oh my God, look at him, you feel so bad for him. You're like, he's such a bad state, right? You feel sorry for him. Right? So if you think that we feel sorry for him, you don't think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will feel sorry for him? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Arhamur Rahimin. He's the most merciful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He just wants us to ask, right? So that He can give us. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. Right? Let them ask from me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer. So that person, he's raising his hands in dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? He's raising his hands in dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then what does Rasulullah say? He said, how will his dua will be accepted? Right? When his food, when his clothing is haram, when his provision is haram, or very things that he are eating is haram, then how will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answer his duas? What is happening? He is setting up a blockade, right? To the very one thing that he is most dependent on for his spiritual progress, which is his dua. Right? All of us are beggars at the end of the day to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not like we have any great amal. Which one of us has reads one Qur'an a day? Right? Which one of us, is from the morning till night is in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? We all have our ghafla, all have our mistakes. We're sinful slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So, which one of us has anything to boast of? All we can do is, Ya Allah, please accept us. Ya Allah, please drag us close to you. Oh Allah, just grab us despite our problems, besides our defects, right? Just grab us and bring us, close to you. As it says in the Quran, right? إِنَّ اللَّهَ اشْتَرَى مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَنفُسَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُمْ بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bought us. When you go to the market, right? This is different talk. When you go to market and you see any apples, or you try to pick some fruits, you try to pick the best one, the ripest one. The people have had down to science, right? They knock on the watermelon. They say, oh, this one is going to be sweet. And they know how to pick this type of fruit because they say, oh, you have to look at this type of color. And if it's like this on this side, then no, this is not going to go. It's going to go bad quickly. They have it down to a science. If anyone saw a fruit where there's already some fungus or mold on it, would anyone pick it up? Just throw it, right? I'm putting my hard-earned money. Why would I buy it? Never buy it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bought us despite all our defects. That's why we're so dependent on His mercy. And if you're dependent on His mercy, that means we must make dua to Him. We must make prayer to Him. We must beseech Him, Ya Allah, accept us despite our shortcomings. And the way that one can ensure about that is that he makes sure that he is taking in what is halal. In fact, it comes in another riwayah, right, in Bayhaqi, that flesh which has been nourished with haram shall not enter paradise. Right? That's nourished with haram. So you have to be very careful. And if a person is already very careful, alhamdulillah, right now, they should continue to be careful. They should continue to exercise taqwa in their matter and try to have the most halal food that they can have, right? I know people who became so particular in their lives, right? Not just saying that you have to do this, but it's just to give you an idea of how particular. Even if you go in regular stores and you see any food, on the back, you read almost any of the ingredient labels, like 20, 30 things, and at the very, there's so much artificial stuff now that like now Haagen-Dazs can advertise 5 because our ice cream only has 5 ingredients because all the other ice creams have at least 15, right? So at the end, almost invariably, you will see what? Natural flavors. Right? That's the proprietary formula. So the natural flavors, and sometimes, some places, they actually use an alcohol extract. Right? It's not necessarily from grapes and wine, so there's this whole ikhtilaf in that, and whether it's fatwa, and that's a whole different issue, whether it's halal or not. Right? But the thing is that sometimes some natural flavors, someone found out that they had used alcohol. So what did they do? That whole family, they stopped eating anything with natural flavors. Which means you're cutting yourself off from about 70 or 80% what you can find in the supermarket. You didn't have to. right? They didn't have to, but they don't eat it. There are people, for example, if they know that such and such organization supports the cause of those people who have usurped the land of the Muslimin in certain places, they won't buy or eat from from that company, right? And then when they bring it up to other people, people joke at them. They say, "Oh, those type of people, they own all the companies. That means you can't eat anything, right?" So they make jest of that. But subhanallah, that one of the people who had taken a stance from that, other people make joke, but then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to them in their dream and corroborated what they were doing. All right. So while people make fun on one side, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is giving himma and giving support from the other, right? The more you exercise taqwa in your life, the more you are careful and God conscious and God fearing in your life, the more you will draw you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then these beautiful things will start happening in your life, right? Who knows, we will also perhaps see the nur in the food of some person, righteous person. Maybe we'll ourselves get the chance to eat at the table of the righteous. Akala indaka aftara indaka as-sa'imun wa akala indaka al-abrar. Maybe Allah, I know one of my teachers, subhanallah, like he's so maqbool to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, in my eyes, he must be maqbool to Allah. Allah knows best. But a servant, how accepted must he be that, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls him for, Hajj or for Umrah on a bi-weekly basis. That's, in my mind, that's amazing. And then he's chosen him to teach, Bukhari in his life, right? So he's a Shaykh al-Hadith, and then he gets to go to Umrah, so many times every month. Allahu Akbar Kabira. So in his house, subhanallah, on Thursday and Friday, on Monday and Thursday, he'd always have someone in his house because he himself would fast, right? But he would always bring the righteous students from the school that he was the principal of, and they would open his iftar with him, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed not only his food, right, but He's also given him company, right? And He has given him that maqam, right? Aftara indaka as-sa'imun. This is actually one of the du'as that people make, right? When you eat at someone else, you make the du'a that akala indaka al-abrar wa aftara indaka as-sa'imun, that may the righteous eat at your table, right? And may the people who are fasting make iftar or break their fast with you, right? But that came true in his life, right? So now on a daily basis, subhanallah, there's people who are breaking fast with him and he's feeding righteous students, right? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And the other thing is that even sometimes inadvertently it's been said, right? Inadvertently, if someone eats something which is not okay, right? Where there was shak in, that's where taqwa comes in. That even though you might not be liable for it because it was a mistake, it was an accident, right? A person may still experience the detrimental spiritual effects of that, right? The detrimental spiritual effects of that. So I've told you something, but then I need to actually temper my statements too. So now what happens is if a person starts to get, super quote-unquote religious, hardcore when it comes to food, right? They're trying to say, I want to have this, and be very careful. Then what happens is then people start hitting into brick walls when it comes to eating at their mother's house, right? Because they say, Mom, you weren't making zikr when you're cooking your salan, right? So I don't want to eat. Literally there are wives, subhanAllah, Allah bless them, who when they cook, they are in the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what do you think will happen with those children in those families which are nourished from that type of food? That's a separate discussion. But if a person says, no, I'm too religious, I'm too pious now, right? I've listened to the bayan, now I can't even eat at my parents' house. And then they start getting around and the parents say, why is my son acting so weird now? Why is my daughter acting so weird now? That's not appropriate. We keep our religiosity, our taqwa to ourselves. And also if someone else, right, is for example eating something which is completely halal, right? Doesn't look at him, oh look at him, he's eating that has natural flavors, I even don't eat that, right? MashaAllah, right? It is better that you had eaten natural flavors than to look at that disdainful eye on that other individual, right? It is better that you had eaten those natural flavors than to have looked down at that other person for not doing so. Right? Never look down at anyone else. What you do, your own piety, it's in your own personal life. And don't go around preaching your piety. Right? It's for you yourself. Fatwa is a different issue. Right? So that's a different issue. But for the taqwa, that's to yourself. So with those caveats, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those individuals who are extremely careful about eating that which is halal in their life, right? About taking that food which is poor. May Allah, that is pure. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those whose rizq is halal and tayyib, right? And make it an impetus for us to perform numerous and abundant good deeds. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.